Criminal defense attorney Gerald Griggs joins us now. Gerald, why do you think it is so important, given the fact that these men are already going to be serving life sentences, that this federal hate crime charge and this trial be brought forward?
I think it's important because we need to hear all of the circumstances that led to the death of Mr. Arbery, and race played a major factor in that. As we heard today in the opening statements by the U.S. attorney, as well as from the defense attorneys, race is the seminal issue that caused Mr. Arbery to be murdered by these three defendants, and it's important for accountability because of that racial animus that led to his death.
Gerald, how will this case, based on the testimony that we're already hearing and likely to hear, it's going to get worse, just according to Dre's reporting there, that we'll hear the N-word repeatedly, how these particular white men viewed blacks as being subhuman and worse than animals and savages. I mean, when we hear this kind of conversation going on between them and the sentiment and the thoughts, what will that send in terms of a message to the rest of America watching this case?
It will send a message that we still have a very, very problematic race problem in this country that needs to be addressed. The good thing about it is we have laws that are focused on addressing these issues. This is going to be a very tough case to listen to. Of course, the murder case in the state trial was very tough to listen to. But once you add that racial overtone and the reason why they hunted Mr. Arbery, the feelings that they had for African Americans, and ultimately the words that were uttered over his dying body will, for the first time, cast the full picture of what happened in the Scintilla Shores neighborhood.
There's what we know was the cause of this crime and this murder, and then there's proving it in a court of law. What tools do the prosecutors have to prove racial intent?
The actual text messages, the actual social media accounts of what Mr. McMichael had said to others, what his father had said to others. I think you're going to hear it directly from the defendant's mouth through technology, through his Facebook, through his text messages, through the statements that were made over Mr. Arbery's dying body. These are going to be very, very disturbing and will paint a clear picture and prove beyond a reasonable doubt the animus of the hate crime that occurred in Scintilla Shores.
To that point, we will see a lot of that evidence, but you've been very close to the Arbery family, his mother and father. How are they responding to what they're hearing so far? And of course, we saw what they went through during the first trial. Will they have to endure this yet again?
Yes, they're going to have to endure the ugly facts about what happened in this case, watch the video over and over again, but they're very strong and resolute in getting total justice. Marcus has always been clear he wants total justice. Wanda has always been clear she wants total justice. This is a part of that process, but it's not going to be easy. They're going to, again, hear their son painted in a broad brush to try to deflect from what happened out there at the neighborhood of Scintilla Shores. But we are hopeful in supporting them to make sure that the full account of what happens and accountability happens to these three defendants.
You've been mentioning what happened in Brunswick, Georgia, Scintilla Shores, but this jury pool for the federal hate crime charge will be drawn from a larger population. How will that impact the outcome?
Well, as you can see from the pool that's already been selected, it's a much more diverse jury. It's going to bring more experience that are common to the fullness of Georgia and not just the small construct of Glenn County. And so I think that it's going to be a lot easier to understand the real customs and the real beliefs and the real sense of justice that comes from Georgia. So I'm hopeful now with a more diverse jury. Of course, they will come to the same conclusion, but they will bring those common experiences that will show the rest of the country that this is not reflective of Georgia and that this will be handled appropriately through the mechanism the law allows here in this state.
Criminal defense attorney Gerald Griggs, thank you for joining us and sharing your insights tonight.
The tension between the United States, our NATO allies, and Russia shows very little sign of breaking anytime soon. We take a look at the risk and the cost to America, especially Black America, if a Ukraine invasion actually takes place. That's coming right after the break.